Good morning or good afternoon. I'm here in West Palm Beach, and I trust that everything is just fine with you. I'm going to give you a few moments here to get on here to make sure that everything is operational and working here. Facebook Live is, from time to time, a challenge, but of course, it's important that we use it, right? Here we are, just fine. And make sure I'm up and running here. It's important that we... Yes, it is. Okay. Look, today I really want to talk to you this afternoon here, and just really to meld our minds together to make sure that we are on the same page here. You know, most people are born in their sleep. They grow up in their sleep, marry in their sleep, breed in their sleep, and die in their sleep. But there's a better way, okay? We are not here to identify ourselves with an ego trapped inside of a body. And if we do that, then we are asleep, essentially. We are not experiencing the comfort of being here now and feeling ourselves awake and aware of what is happening in this field of awareness that you and I are in each and every day. So today's title for you is Being About the Business of God. Being about the business of God. So why don't you just take 1 minute here to, first of all, acknowledge the presence of God's presence here right now. To acknowledge the sacred nature of the experience that you and I are having right now in this moment. As we let go of the past, as we let go of the future and our expectations as well, and to be here now, fully open and present to whatever is happening in our experience in this journey. Look, waking up is difficult. You can just ask my husband this every morning. It's difficult to get him up in the morning, but he gets up, okay? So it's a journey that we all go through when we move from the sleep modality, the matrix, into an awareness of living and moving and abiding in the eternal timeless now. Some people call it the kingdom, okay? That is where you are birthed to do. Okay, so what we are discussing this afternoon is where you came from, number one, why you are here in this world, and where you are going. You're going to know those three things before we are done here today. And the way that you perceive your world is going to be completely different. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Erica. Good to see you both here as well. I love you both so much. I want everyone to know that enlightenment is not a change at all, but a recognition. That's it. I'm not here to change you. I'm not here to improve you in any way, because you are perfect, as whole as God created you right now. So you don't need to do anything behaviorally in order for you to understand nirvana. However, what is required is a change in perceptions. That's it. A recognition of who you are in this world. Okay? Look, last night, I've got a post from Jessica Broadbeck, who's one of my friends here in my Facebook page, and you'll see her post here. She was in Kansas City going to another city, and she was having some experiences, some challenges, if you will, really navigating themselves through the journey in peace. And she was confronted with people that were generally discourteous, disrespectful, and so forth, and were not anywhere or any way rather mindful of her journey whatsoever. So it caused her a little bit of angst, right? And she posed, "Hey, Clonette, good to see you, Janet. Good to see you as well." So what was really important, and I told her that I would respond to this post on Facebook Live. Because look, folks, we get situations in our life which pushes our buttons almost constantly. But we can choose again. We can see the situation differently. And when we understand where we came from, why we are here, and where we're going, then our experience in the world can bring us an experience of peace and not bring us a situation or an experience of suffering and sadness and disappointment and so forth. Okay? So last night after I read her post, I didn't even respond immediately to her, but I immediately went to chapter 28 of A Course in Miracles. In this section, I'm not going to read this to you, so just be patient with me on this. I do want to mention a few things within the paragraph, chapter 28, the little gap, and the section reversing effect and cause. This is from A Course in Miracles based on the handwritten notes of Helen Schucman. I also use this too, the way of mastery, the way of the heart, the way of transformation, and the way of knowing. I use both of these books in my life as my holy writ, if you will, into this experience. So I knew that when Jessica was referring to her challenges in her journey from Kansas City to another city, I immediately thought about this section here. And I want to communicate it with you this afternoon as well. This is going to be a very powerful and potent experience if you allow it to be. Okay? So be patient, be with me, be at one with me, and you're going to experience something different with me today. Here in chapter 28, it says, "Nothing at all has happened but that you have put yourself to sleep and dreamed a dream in which you were an alien to yourself and but a part of someone else's dream. The miracle does not awaken you, but merely shows you who the dreamer is." Let me add some light here. It needs to remind you, to awaken you, but merely shows you who the dreamer is. A little further. A dream is like a memory in that it pictures what you wanted shown to you. Yet if you are the dreamer, you perceive this much as at least, that you have caused the dream and can accept another dream as well. But for this change in content of the dream, it must be realized that it is you who dreamed the dreaming that you do not like. Wow. Let's just look at this and sit with this for just a moment. So, Jessica had a difficult moment. Hey, Christian, good to see you, my holy brother. And, you know, what she was referring to, she was not interacting with the people in the plane in Kansas City. She was referring to her interpretation of what's happening on that plane. That's it. All suffering, all sadness, all disappointment, and lack and limitation in our experience is occurring because our interpretation of the event in that moment. Now, in reality, we know that that event that she went through, where somebody was discourteous and disrespectful and not really allowing her to get to her destination, that event itself is merely a phenomenon. Okay, what is a phenomenon? A phenomenon is where you or I believe that we are a subject and that the world outside of me is an object. That itself is an hallucination. In reality, though, that event does not add anything to me. That event does not subtract anything from me, and it does not change me at all. Okay? Because in that moment, I know who I am, right? I am a child of the light. I am a child of the day. I am an effect of God's cause. That's it. Basically, that I am the love of God incarnate here. So everything that I experience in time and space is merely a representation of what is happening internally in my mind. Now, when I say my mind, I am not referring to what's happening in this little small brain I call Kevin's brain. That's not what I am referring to. What I am referring to is the mind of God that you and I can bask within and dance and play with and use as an instrument in our life to bring an experience of joy and bliss and so forth. But I have to acknowledge that happy dream is not going to occur in my life until I acknowledge and own 100% of the event that I am seeing in my life right now. I have caused this thing, I have done this thing, and it is this that I will undo. That is the purpose and the function of everyone in this world, to awaken to the awareness of who we are as a child of God. Okay? So, where did we come from? Why are we here now? And where are we going right now? So, where did we come from right now? Why are we in this sphere, this dimension, time and space continuum that we live and move in right now? You know, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and I'll restate it again from A Course in Miracles. It says, into eternity where all is one, there crept a tiny, mad idea in which the Son of God, that's you and me, remembered not to laugh. Okay. Now, we're talking about fractals here. Fractal is a fragment of the whole that contains the whole. Like a triangle made of triangles, or squares made of squares, or trees made of trees, and so forth. So we're dealing with the field of the fractals. So the first fractal is a thought of separation, or a thought of duality-driven thinking. Now, I've mentioned this before as well. I'm going to restate it until you and I understand this completely. The only venue in which an illusion can be afforded reality is within a dream state. So when I begin to identify my mind with illusions, that is when my mind immediately goes into a sleep state. That's it. Okay? In other words, through our judgment, through our duality-driven thinking, we move from out of here, the eternal timeless now, into the past and in the future. And in that moment, we are asleep. Okay? The Bible mentions that in Genesis that Adam fell into a deep sleep, and in nowhere did he ever wake up from it. And the same is true with me and you as well. We went into a deep sleep. That's it. And so our purpose here is to awaken from the identity, the reality that has been given to us from our source, okay? So again, we repeat the first fractal of the separation every time we engage in judgment whatsoever in our world. Now, I mentioned this previously from A Course in Miracles. I want to say two more statements from this, and this is very important. The miracle establishes you dream a dream, and that its content is not true. Okay. So, I want to be very clear here. How can I really phrase this or angle this properly with you? It's a matter of us bringing a level of seriousness to a dream. When we begin to delve into the specifics of a dream, when we delve into the form or the images that we see within the dream, and we begin to discuss it, we give some attention to it, some power to it, then the dream seems to become more dense and more real. When we begin to laugh at the whole notion that you and I are separate from each other, then we begin to see that that line of separation that we have drawn between ourselves and the world begins to dissolve. And then we begin to understand that what we are experiencing in this world is merely a production of an internal image-making device. And we're going to see the dream of it represented in our lives every day. So when we don't like what we are experiencing, if we are feeling that something is unacceptable in our world, it is because we ourselves have gave it power through our thoughts, our energy, and then boom, we're going to see it in 3D Technicolor in our experience. Again, I have done this thing, and it is this that I would undo, okay? So if I don't like something that I am experiencing in this time and space continuum, I have to know 100% that my tomorrows can be changed by changing my mind today. Okay? So, let me give you a way to look at this as well. Every time that I harbor a thought of judgment to another person, every time that I bring a thought of blame or victimhood to me, I am going to see the mirror of it, the reflection of it in my mind in this sphere, this dimension that I'm seeing. This is how dreams work. Look, every time you go to sleep and you have a sleeping dream, what happens there? You have a thought and boom, you're going to see the dream arise in your sleeping mind. You're going to see the effect of the cause that you yourself have placed within that sleeping dream. The same is true about your waking dream as well. Every single thought. You know, we're doing the lessons in A Course in Miracles collectively with a lot of people, and I think it was yesterday or the day before, where the lesson says there is no such thing as a neutral thought. There isn't. Hey, Joe. Hey, Margarita. Good to see both of you here as well. So, keep in mind of this, that there is no neutrality in our thinking. What we see in this world is an effect of our thoughts. That itself doesn't have any, rather is neutral. What is happening internally is not neutral, okay? So it will always have a charge of every thought that I think in my mind. Look, I just spoke at Unity on the Bay in Miami last Sunday. And by the way, I'm going to be there again February the 4th, Sunday at 1 o'clock at Unity on the Bay in Miami. Join us. We had a wonderful time on Sunday. But I said it to the students in Miami at Unity on the Bay. Look, somebody said to me previously, it was Esteban Landano, who I was working with, hypnotherapist in Miami, in the workshop that we were doing, and he says to me, hey, Kevin, what is the most important affirmation or the knowledge that a person can get that really begins to change their experience in time and space? And I said to Esteban, it is this: only loving thoughts. Only loving thoughts. Only loving thoughts in my mind. When I harbor only loving thoughts instead of fearful thoughts, attacking thoughts, blame thoughts, and so forth, okay, I'm experiencing the effects of those awful thoughts that I harbored in my mind previously. But in this moment, I can choose again. I can instead choose only loving thoughts in my mind. That simple shift in perception will change your mind completely, because you know that what is happening in your mind is more important than what was happening in the effect or the mirror. Okay? That's an effect. It's already over and done with. What is powerful, what is potent, is what I am harboring in my mind right now. When I don't do that, when I don't resonate with my own reality by extending and expressing the good, the holy, and the beautiful by giving to the world and to myself love, then if I harbor fear and attack and blame and so forth, then I'm asleep. That's it. We are essentially in a hypnotic state or trance when we traffic in the instruments of time and space, as opposed to removing ourselves from the eternal timeless now, the gifts, the goodness, the beauty, the bliss that has been given to us right now in this moment. Okay, before I really get into this here, I'm just going through where we came from, and I'm about ready to talk about why we are here in this world. Let me just look to see if there's any questions there so far. Okay. This is a little slow here. I thought this was up and running already, but it isn't. So just give me a second. Here we go. Hey, Yule, good to see you as well. Let's see if we got people here. Okay. Jeff, Laudette, Erica, Betsy, love you too. Love you all of the people that are joining with us. There are no questions here so far, but this is up and running. And if you have any questions whatsoever, I'm here to set you on the right path. So, Imelda Shanklin was a teacher from Unity years ago. Hey, Sandra, good to see you, my holy sister. And she says, what are you? Okay? You are a native of the real world. In it, you have union with God. In it, you have sustenance and eternal being. But you do not consciously live in the real world all the time. You adventure into the fictitious. You wrestle with its shadows. You plead with its irrationalities. You clasp its phantom forms to your bosom to extract rest from their restlessness. You deceive yourself so thoroughly that you finally cease to remember what you are. You have become a victim of spiritual amnesia. And this is true. This is why you're with me right now. You, somewhere in your being, connected to a stream of consciousness that whispers into your being that says, hey, Kevin, hey, Bob, hey, Axel, hey, Claudette, or Jeff, or Erica, there's a better way. There's a better way. You're not here to be in a matrix, to be a robot from the world. You're not a victim of the world that you see. You are the creator, the producer of what you are experiencing right now. I said this a couple of months ago, but I really want to revisit with you right now, okay? Right now, you're looking at my field of awareness here. There's the top there, here's the side, here's the bottom, okay? Let's call this TV screen that we're looking at right now your field of awareness, okay? Let me restate that. Let's call it your pool of awareness. And this pool of awareness that you're looking at right now, in your past, you have dropped a pebble into this pool of awareness, regardless of the pebble that you drop into it in the past. Okay? And so whatever pebble you dropped into this pool of awareness, you and I are going to experience the effects of it right now. So, for instance, if in the past, hey Gail, hey Rand, good to see you as well. So if I, in the past, drop a pebble into my pool of awareness that we're calling it right now, this. If I drop a pebble of fear or lack or limitation into this field of awareness, then I'm going to experience the effects of it in 3D Technicolor because of it. Okay? So if I drop a pebble of attack, I'm going to experience that effect, or that attack rather, in the effects or the ripples that I am experiencing right now in this dimension. That is how quickly your dreams begin to display itself in your world, just like your sleeping dreams occur this as well. Every thought that you think in your sleeping dream, you're going to experience it last night. The same is true today. However, you can change your tomorrows by changing what pebble of fear or love you are dropping in your pebble or in your pool of awareness right now. I hope that you're really getting this, folks. I want to say it again. The only place illusions can be afforded reality is within a dream state. That's it. So I love this, what I mentioned again from A Course in Miracles. I want to say it again. The miracle does not awaken you, but merely shows you who the dreamer is. So you are not a participant within this realm. You are a dreamer of the entire dream. Okay? So when we understand that, we begin to disengage our identification with the body and begin to identify instead with the entire totality of our identity, the son or the daughter of God. We know that we are the sons and daughters of God because the instruments that we have been given, called our thoughts, our tools that we are using each and every day, is powerful, is potent, and is awesome, because we're going to see the representation of it, every thought, here in our world. You don't like our president? You're the problem, not him. You don't like your government? You're the problem, not them. You don't like suffering or being poor? You're the problem. Okay? That is the key to awakening. When we own 100% responsibility for what is occurring in our own dimension right now. Okay? This is why a lot of people go through their lives living and trafficking in a cesspool of denial. Oh, that's not me. I didn't participate in this 3D Technicolor image that is arising in my field. Oh, I don't like people that are engaging in competition, for instance. Oh yeah, I've never done that before, so I'm going to repress it and project it on other people. This is how projection occurs. This is how projection occurs. I look in myself, okay, and I see something in my field of awareness that I don't like, right? And then I begin to reject it and deny it, and then I put it down in my being in the darkness so I don't have to look at it. And eventually what happens is I will then project that lack or limitation or suffering or sadness outwardly, and saying this person, that event, that circumstance is the reason I'm experiencing lack of joy and peace and fulfillment. They're the problem, not me. Y'all here with me here? Come on. So this is so important that we then begin not to resist what is happening in our field of awareness, but we allow it to occur because it's already over and done with. In other words, the moment that I push against the quantum field, for instance, it bounces back every time. This is how powerful our thoughts are. Okay? So, when we are asleep then, in time and space and space in the matrix, it is because we think it is easier for us to experience joy and love if we don't have to look at what we have already produced within our dimension. That's it. So when we begin to accept it, 100%, and give non-resistance to it, and allow it to go through our being without any obstruction whatsoever, it has no effect to us whatsoever. Again, it does not add anything to me. It does not subtract anything from me. It doesn't change me at all. Okay? Because what I'm living with instead is the eternal timeless now, which is unchanging and unchangeable. This world of effect, this world of form, this world of image is temporary. A Course in Miracles says in another section, it says, God is as incapable of creating the temporary as the ego is incapable of creating the eternal. So basically, when we understand that we are in a dream state, and that all that we are producing within this dream state, if we are using the instruments of the past and the future, all that we are going to get in this dimension is temporary stuff. Okay? It doesn't have a lasting, permanent effect to us. However, when we begin to drop a pebble of love, of unconditional love, into our field of awareness, and surrounding it and embracing it with unconditional love, with embrace, with allowance, oh my God, then the dream begins to change instantly. Because you remove yourself and I remove myself from the identification of the body, but instead place it where it is. An effect of God's source. The mind of God. That's it. The Christ the mind. That's it. Then in that moment you understand, oh my God, all that I really am experiencing in this dream state is the love of God incarnate. The Christ incarnate. And then you and I begin to become Christed because of that. It's a matter of alignment. So I disalign myself, if that's even a word or not, from the identification of an ego trapped within inside of a body, and began instead, through my mind, to connect with the whole circus that we're looking at right now. That's it. I have done this thing, and it is this that I have done that I would undo. I, through my thoughts, have placed this event of suffering, of sadness, of being poor, of being angst, but being conflicted. I've dropped those thoughts, those pebbles in the pool of awareness individually as well as collectively. And I'm seeing the effect of it in my 3D dimension right now. Okay, we got a question maybe from Claudette. Okay, thank you, Kevin, for reminding me. I choose love every moment. We only live the right moment here, right now. Of course we do, Claudette. Okay, so I've covered where we came from, a little bit of the nature of the dream state that we're in right now. And by the way, you don't have to be afraid of being in a dream state right now. Were you afraid when you experienced the dreams from last night when you woke up and said, oh, that was just a dream? The same is true here in our waking sleep state as well. You don't have to bring any level or intensity of the seriousness of what you are seeing. You can see it instead by seeing for what it is. An hallucination, a phenomenon. Nothing. If you want to change the world, you can change the world by placing in this field of awareness, this pool of shimmering awareness, thoughts of love. Thoughts of love. That's it. So, we know where we came from. Now we need to know why we are here into this realm. All right, it's real simple, folks. We're here to wake up. That's it. Wake up. That's it. You're not here to bring more money to your life. You're not here to give a perfect relationship. You're not here to get more power, more prestige, or anything. That is not your purpose, not your function at all. Because our only function, our only purpose in this world is to wake up, the tools that we use in order for that to happen, we use it when we use the instruments of extreme forgiveness. Now again, we're just talking about the dream state here, right? So because we're just discussing dreams here, that means from A Course in Miracles, it says this: forgive your brother not for what he did, but for what he did not do. That is extreme forgiveness. Okay? True forgiveness is not, oh, my brother or my sister is an awful person, but I'm such a nice person here, I'll just forgive them. That is not what we're talking about. But rather to understand the whole nature of the illusory of the dream that I'm looking at right now. That's it. When we understand the nothingness that I'm looking at, then the seriousness of the event begins to dissipate because you give it no power, no energy whatsoever. It would be equivalent to that a shadow being a wall, which is being cast right now against our wall. That's what it is. A shadow cast on the wall, nothing more than a gnat shouting in empty space. That's all the phenomenon that is occurring within the dream state when it arises. When you understand that it's merely a phenomenon. That's it. This is what Jesus went through with the temptations, the same that when Buddha went through the temptations too. They understood in that moment that what they were tempted by in this world was nothing more than an hallucination, an illusion, a phenomenon. That's it. And then they begin to dismiss it for what it is. And then it goes back into the nothingness from which it was born. That's it. So we're in this dream state. And now, why are we here? We're here to wake up, and we're going to use the tools and the instruments of extreme forgiveness to do that. But also, it's really important to understand as well that we are not without a present help in times of need. That we do have a source that is present for us right now, each and every moment. So it's a process that you and I have to arrive in our mind by recognition, not by changing our minds, or rather by not changing our behavior, but rather changing our minds, to really distinguish between what is real and what is fictitious. What is real is happening right now through the portal and the window of the eternal timeless now. Okay, so this exchange, this experience, this exchange that you and I are having right now is more aligning with reality. And the fictitious world arises only when we give our attention or energy or power to what? What is already over and done with, the past, or what has never even occurred yet, the future. Okay? That's it. So, it's really understand then where we came from, why we are here, to really exercise and express and extend the good, the holy, and the beautiful by allowing our minds to have only thoughts that reflect only loving thoughts, attitudes, or beliefs. That's it. That's it. Okay. Where are you going then? It's real simple. Your journey back to the Garden of Eden. A journey of the prodigal son back to his father. Okay? But we got here, though, in this dream state purely through duality-driven thinking. Okay? And we can get out of this dimension through non-duality thinking as well. Okay? Now, where did you come from? Why are you here? And where are you going? We got that. So what are you then? You are the holy home of God himself. You are the holy home of God himself. Every single night when I go to sleep, I say to myself, every night, I rest in God. I recline in God. That's it. That is where my identity is. That is where my home is. And that's why you and I, many times in this dream state, feel homeless. Okay? It's because you want to go back home. You want to align yourself once again with your abode. Okay? You know, I wrote a book years ago from A Course in Miracles when I was like 20, when I started A Course in Miracles. It was called, I Am at Home in God, Dreaming of Exile. I am at home in God right now, in reality, but I'm merely having a dream of exile from my Father. That's it. You know, and Peter, also, we're going to get this here in, Peter said in Matthew chapter 16, 13 through 16, when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say the Son of Man is? And they replied, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the other prophets. And Jesus said, but what about you? He asked, who do you say I am? And Simon Peter said, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. The same is true with you. You are the Christ, the son or the daughter of the living God. When you begin to identify with that, when you begin to sit here, look, I'm sitting here on my couch, which I do almost every day, and I sit here in silence, in a meditative state, and understand in those moments, those precious, sacred moments where I see myself as the Christ embodied here. You say, Kevin, that's very egotistical. No, it isn't. It is egotistical to think that you are other than what God has already created you as you are right now. That would be egoic. But when we get rid of that egoic notions and we begin to understand the nobodiness of Kevin Rice, then I begin to merge into a larger, spacious experience with the mind of God as I less and less and less give attention to this pile of dust I call this body. This body is helpful and useful when in the service of the love of God. Yeah, when I communicate loving thoughts, yes, it's helpful. It begins to awaken to the people in this world, okay? It begins to awaken myself too. And that's why it's so important. So it's a difference then between the personal, which is seen, or the impersonal, which is the unseen. So we want to identify ourselves with the unseen, the impersonal, and let go of the personal or the seen. And so the personal realm involves the body, it involves conduct, it involves situations. The impersonal realm involves the spirit or the mind or revelation. Again, from Imelda. Spiritually, what are you? You are a soul that has forgotten its divine identity. A soul now struggling to remember in the midst of time and in the confusions of experiences that you are the living Son of the living God. Spiritually, you are an idea in the mind of God. That idea must be given expression in you. This is why it feels from time to time that God is pressing upon your mind to do what? To express itself to the world. That is what is happening here. Jesus said as well in the New Testament, "Be ye perfect even as I am perfect." Obviously, that perfection is not going to be here in time and space, because time and space is only trafficking in the temporary, the temporal. That's it. So when Jesus said, "Be ye perfect even as I am perfect," it is because you and I begin to align ourselves with the perfection that rests beyond the veil of separation, beyond the veil of duality-driven thinking, beyond the veil of death, beyond the veil of cries and suffering. That's it. So perfection is talking about the impersonal self, not the personal self. The mind of God, again, is pushing on your mind to express who you really are in this world. Okay? Again, enlightenment is not a change at all, folks, but a recognition of who you are. Okay, A Course in Miracles says this as well. Every relationship is a holy encounter. As you see him, you will see yourself. As you think of him, you will think of yourself. As you treat him, you will treat yourself. Remember this, for in him you will find yourself or lose yourself. So yes, to understand the whole totality of the dream state, the spaciousness of it, we can't know it until we understand that our awareness and the recognition of our reality cannot be found unless we find it in our brothers and sisters in this world. Okay? You find yourself, your impersonal self, your connected self in the mind of God. And we do it also through prayer. Okay? That's it. Silently, secretly, and sacredly. Silently, secretly, and sacredly. That's it. I acknowledge the sacred nature of what I'm experiencing right now. Right now, I'm going to be secret about this with my source. I'm going to meditate it. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to drink it in fully in my being. I'm going to know it fully. I'm going to do it silently too, without the intrusions of time and space or others or people's opinions and so forth. I don't freaking care. What I do care about is that I, along with you, is the son and the daughter of the living God. That's it. When you begin to align yourself and adjust yourself to be in one, to be at one with that, then you and I will begin to understand experiences that reflect the light and the love of God, as opposed to being the reflection of the darkness that we bring into this dimension because of our own thoughts, our own attitudes, our own beliefs, and so forth. I hope that you're getting this here, folks. Let me see if there's any questions here, and then I'll end this exchange with you today. Let me just take a quick look here at the iPad here, which is very slow getting up here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, I don't think we have any other questions here, and that's fine. And folks, look, I want to remind you of a couple of things here. First of all, thank you, by the way, for your donations and your loving offerings to the Academy of Spiritual Awakening, which is on the description. You just hit the click on the description of the Academy of Spiritual Awakening.org. That is where the donation button is. Again, we're here to express the good, the holy, and the beautiful each and every day. Okay, and every week here I'm with you on Facebook Live too. And of course, I want to remind you, secondly, I will be at Unity on the Bay in Miami, Florida. I think it's Sunday, February the 4th. I think it's the 4th at 1 o'clock as we go through A Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery. I hope to see you there. And I invite you as well to go to the unityonthebay.org. Every event that is happening the upcoming month is there for you. And by the way, Marianne Williamson will be there, as well as Deepak Chopra will also be there as well. I'll be there in those events as well. I hope that you see us and can join with us and really expressing the good, the holy, and the beautiful. And if no one has told you today that they love you, allow me to be the first. I love you so freaking much. And you are pure light.